Imagine a silence so profound that it has physical weight, a darkness so absolute that time itself refuses to move forward. Before the pyramids rose from the golden sands, before the first pharaoh drew breath, and even before the stars were pinned to the velvet fabric of the night sky, there was only the Nun. This was not merely water. It was a terrifying, chaotic, infinite ocean of nothingness, a primordial void waiting for a spark of existence. It was a realm where direction did not exist, where up and down were meaningless concepts. From this abyssal depth, a single mound of earth violently breached the surface, gasping for existence. This was the Benben, the first solid ground in a universe of liquid chaos. Upon its peak, a mysterious lotus flower unfurled its petals, not to the sun, but to create it. From this flower rose Ra, the architect of reality, and with his first breath, light shattered the eternal darkness. But power is a lonely companion. Ra, the first consciousness, found himself alone in the vastness. He did not need a partner to create. His will was absolute. He coughed, and from his breath came Shu, the god of dry air. He spat, and Tefnut, the goddess of moisture, was born. Yet the universe was still a dangerous, shifting place, a dark cradle surrounded by the hungry waters of the Nun. When his newborn children wandered too far into the swirling abyss to explore its immensity, Ra felt the first pang of true fear, a father's dread that he would be left alone again in the cold dark. Desperate, he plucked out his own eye and sent it as a sentient messenger to scour the chaos. When it returned with his children safe and sound, the relief that washed over the sun god was so overwhelming that he wept. As his divine tears struck the fertile mud of the Benben, they transformed into something new, something fragile yet ambitious. Human beings. We were not forged from clay or stone. We were born from a god's tears of joy. Ra ruled as the first pharaoh, establishing a golden age where the gods walked among men. He gifted humanity the ox to plow the fields, the lion to teach them strength, and the greatest gift of all, the Nile River, a ribbon of life that allowed civilization to bloom in the desert. But even the creator of the universe was not immune to the creeping rot of paranoia. Ra was haunted by a chilling premonition that his own lineage would one day rise up, eclipse his power, and steal his throne. To prevent this celestial coup, he issued a cruel decree. The sky goddess Nut and the earth god Geb were forbidden from ever bearing children. But love, even among the divine, is the ultimate rebellion. Nut and Geb defied the sun god, and from their illicit union, 4 powerful deities were born who would change the fate of the cosmos: Isis, Nephthys, Seth, and the golden child Osiris. The prophecy had begun to unfold. Osiris, radiant, benevolent, and charismatic, ascended to the throne, pushing Ra into the heavens and ushering in an era of unprecedented prosperity. Osiris was not just a ruler, he was a teacher. He took a primitive humanity that lived like savage beasts and gifted them the secrets of agriculture, the intricate art of weaving, the taste of baked bread, and the structure of law to order their chaos. Under Osiris, the Nile Valley flourished. But in the shadows of this paradise, a cancer was growing. His brother, Seth, the god of the arid desert, storms, and chaos, watched from the dunes with eyes burning with jealousy. While Osiris ruled the fertile black lands where life thrived, Seth was the lord of the red lands, a king of nothing but scorching dust, howling winds, and scorpions. The tension between the brothers snapped due to a scandal that shook the pantheon to its core. Osiris, perhaps mistaken or perhaps tempted by desire, had an affair with Seth's wife, Nephthys, who had disguised herself as Isis. From this union of betrayal, Anubis was born, a living reminder of infidelity. Seth's hatred hardened into a cold, calculated plan for murder. He did not choose a sword or a duel. He chose a party. The god of evil threw a lavish feast in Osiris's honor, inviting the most powerful beings in Egypt to drink, dance, and celebrate. In the center of the hall sat a coffin, crafted from the finest cedar wood and inlaid with gold and precious jewels, a box of breathtaking beauty. Seth announced a playful game. The magnificent coffin would be a gift to whoever fit inside it perfectly. It was a trap tailored for only one celestial body. The guests tried and failed, one by one. Finally, Osiris, trusting and perhaps a bit drunk on wine and hubris, approached the box. He lay down within it, and it fit him like a second skin. In that split second, the trap was sprung. Seth and his conspirators slammed the heavy lid shut, sealing the suffocating god inside, and poured molten lead over the seams. They cast the coffin into the Nile, drowning the king of the world in the very waters he loved. The Golden Age ended not with a war, but with the sound of a lid slamming shut. Isis, consumed by a grief that shook the foundations of the earth, wept tears so voluminous they caused the Nile to flood, a cycle of sorrow and renewal that continues to this day. She hunted frantically for the body, but Seth, determined to deny his brother peace even in death, found the corpse first. In a blind rage, he tore Osiris's body into 42 jagged pieces and scattered them across the chaotic wilds of Egypt. But death is not the end for the gods. Isis, possessing a magic deeper than time, and with the help of Anubis, the illegitimate son who betrayed his stepfather to help his true father, scoured the land. They gathered the grisly fragments of the king, piece by bloody piece. Using her potent magic and Anubis's newfound knowledge of preservation, they reassembled Osiris, wrapping him in linens and creating the first mummy in history. Through rituals that would define Egyptian burial forever, Isis resurrected him just long enough to conceive a son, an heir bred for one purpose: vengeance. His name was Horus. Osiris could no longer rule the living. He was now the lord of the dead. So the burden of justice fell to the young falcon god. Horus grew up in the shadows, nursing a hatred for his uncle Seth that burned brighter than the desert sun. When he came of age, he didn't just ask for the throne, he went to war. The conflict between Horus and Seth lasted 80 years, a brutal saga of cosmic violence, trickery, and shifting alliances. They fought not just with weapons, but with shape-shifting sorcery. In one bizarre and deadly contest, Seth proposed a challenge. Both gods would transform into hippopotamuses and submerge themselves in the Nile. The first to surface for air would lose the throne. It was a test of endurance, but also a chance for treachery. Isis, watching from the shore, tried to harpoon Seth to help her son, but when Seth pleaded for mercy, she hesitated. This moment of weakness enraged Horus. In a fit of blind fury, the god of light attacked his own mother, decapitating her on the riverbank. It took the wisdom of Thoth to save her, replacing her severed head with that of a cow. The war was dirty and personal. In the deserts, they clashed with such ferocity that Seth managed to rip out Horus's eyes, plunging the rightful heir into darkness. It was only through the intervention of Hathor, the goddess of love, who healed his vision with gazelle milk, that Horus could fight again. The climax of this feud was as psychological as it was physical. Seth, pretending to seek reconciliation, invited Horus to a feast and tried to abuse him sexually in the night to assert dominance and make him unworthy of the throne. But Horus, quick-witted and guarded, caught Seth's poisonous seed in his hand and threw it into the river. He then hatched a counterplot with Isis. They placed Horus's divine seed onto lettuce leaves, Seth's favorite snack. When the god of the desert ate the lettuce, he was unknowingly impregnated with his rival's essence. Later, when the court of gods called for the seed to speak, to prove dominance, it answered from inside Seth's body. A golden disk erupted from Seth's forehead, a mark of absolute humiliation. Defeated, shamed, and outmaneuvered, Seth was forced to abdicate. After 8 decades of bloodshed, Horus took the throne, becoming the ancestor of every pharaoh to come. But what of Ra, the old creator, while this family feud destroyed the earth? Time had worn him down. He abdicated the earthly throne to dwell in the sky, crossing the heavens every day in his solar bark. But his true test comes at twilight. When the sun sets, Ra does not sleep. His boat plunges beneath the horizon into the Duat, the terrifying Egyptian underworld. For 12 hours, corresponding to the 12 gates of hell, he must sail through absolute darkness. This is not a peaceful journey. It is a desperate nightly battle for the survival of reality. Waiting for him in the abyss is Apophis, a colossal chaos serpent whose only desire is to swallow the sun and plunge the universe back into the eternal, watery silence of the noon. Every single night, Apophis attacks. Occasionally, the serpent succeeds in swallowing the boat during the day, creating a solar eclipse. But he is always forced to regurgitate the burning god. And here lies the final twisting irony of the myth. Who defends Ra against this monster? It is Seth, the usurper, the murderer of Osiris, the humiliated uncle, was given a new purpose. As the god of destruction and violence, only Seth possesses the ferocity required to stand at the prow of the sunboat and beat back the serpent night after night. The villain became the necessary evil that keeps the lights on for the rest of us. While Ra battles in the sky, the souls of humanity face their own trial below. They are led by Anubis, the jackal-headed guardian, to the Hall of Truth. Anubis was once the primary god of the dead, but he stepped aside for his father Osiris, taking the role of the embalmer and the gatekeeper. The terror of the afterlife boils down to a single scale. Anubis places your heart, the container of all your deeds and memories, on one side, and the feather of truth, Ma'at, on the other. The tension in this moment is absolute. If your heart is heavy with sin and wickedness, it tips the scale, and you are not sent to hell, you are erased. You are fed to Amit, the devourer, a horrific chimera that is part crocodile, part lion, and part hippopotamus. To the Egyptians, this was the ultimate fear, not suffering, but non-existence. But if your heart is light, Anubis guides you to the eternal paradise of the field of reeds. This obsession with protection extended to the living world as well, through the feline goddess Bastet. The Egyptians didn't just love cats, they revered them as divine soldiers. Bastet, depicted with the head of a lioness or a domestic cat, was the protector of the home, the guardian against diseases, and a warrior against evil spirits. Cats were the physical manifestation of this divine protection. They hunted the venomous cobras that threatened households, and were believed to see the supernatural threats that humans could not. To harm a cat in ancient Egypt was a crime punishable by death. Legend says that if a house caught fire, cats would run into the flames, not to die, but to guide the spirits of the residents to safety, sacrificing one of their 9 lives in the process. Bastet is even linked to the bloodthirsty lioness Sekhmet, suggesting that beneath every purring house cat lies a dormant god of war, waiting to be unleashed. Today, the temples of Ra are ruins, buried in sand, and the prayers to Osiris have faded into the wind. The gods have retreated into the silence of history. But look closely at the small, arrogant creature sitting in your living room. When a cat stares past you at something you cannot see, perhaps it is not staring at nothing. Perhaps it is remembering a time when it stood on the prow of a solar boat, fighting back the darkness so that you could see the morning sun.